Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be removing the HICAS system out of my 300ZX. Alright, so if you've been following this build, obviously VG DETT engine blew up, and I have a video of that. I'll link in the description if you want to watch it. It threw a rod. But basically what I'm doing today is deleting the HICAS system. Now, the reservoir sits over here, and the lines run along all of that. I've already deleted all that, and the lines are going to be sitting down there, so I am going to go underneath there real quick. I set up the camera for like a time-lapse for you guys as I delete everything. Unfortunately, I probably am just going to remove everything just because I kind of broke the brake lines. Fuel lines I'm not going to be reusing. I'm using AN lines, and the HICAS lines don't need to be there anymore, so those are going to be coming out. That was a pain in the ass. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. And if you are keeping your brake lines and fuel lines, good luck. It's doable. Pain in the ass. So as you guys saw in the time-lapse footage, I got all the lines out. Looks a lot cleaner now that there's not a whole bunch of lines hanging right there. Also, there's a lot of debris and stuff hanging underneath the lines I couldn't easily sweep. That's why it was all piled right there in that area. So it's nice I was able to sweep that out, and it just makes the bay look, you know, that much cleaner without all those extra lines just, you know, being an eyesore hanging there. I originally wanted to reuse the brake lines, but honestly, they had a lot of corrosion and, you know, skeptical spots on them. And if I'm doing, you know, say I take this car to the track and I'm, you know, going over 100, I'd like to be able to safely stop. Even at, you know, like 30 or 60 miles per hour, I'd like to stop. So definitely new brake lines are a must. Fuel lines, obviously, can go AN, so I could cut those out. And power steering lines for the HICAS. As you can see, there is a little bit of a puddle down there, so, you know, be prepared for that if you guys do delete your HICAS. But going to start working on the back here and start actually tackling the HICAS system directly. There is one bracket right up on top right there holding most of the pipes together, and then where it mounts directly to the HICAS unit. And then I got those two probably like 22 or 24 millimeter bolts that bolt it to the subframe itself. Yes, I'm going to be pulling the subframe out eventually, and basically sandblasting and repainting it so that it's, you know, not crusty and it's nice and new looking. But that's for another day. Right now I'm just trying to be able to get the car on the ground so I can roll it out and wash it, because it's a little dusty and dirty, and I'd like to be able to get a different car in here in the meantime. My buddy wants to pull his Z in here so that he could actually do his engine harness replacement. He's using the one that I took out of mine to put in his, because his is all mangled, chopped up, and apparently they're either really hard to get a hold of or really expensive. So for him to be able to get mine was pretty cool, and at least that way he has like a, you know, really good engine harness to put in his. And I'm not going VG, so I don't need it anymore. And he has the ECU and everything as well, which he'll probably eventually use once he goes twin turbo. But in the meantime, I think he's just putting the harness on his NA just so he has something reliable. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Making some progress. So many days later, I am back working on the Z again, and I've been trying to do like weekly uploads for you guys just to keep you up on the build and the progress, but um, I finally got new tie rods in. I'm not sure if I covered this in my last clip or not, but basically when I got the old HICAS rack out, the tie rods on top of the rack were pretty much jammed up. Couldn't get them off, and I realized I probably should have just rented like the tool, like the sleeve that goes over, and you can use like an impact to take it off. But I didn't have one of those, and I didn't, think about it until after I took the rack off. So that wasn't really an option to get those tie rods off, and plus they were just super rusty, and they didn't look very nice. And I think one of the sides of the rack was leaking power steering fluid, so all the grease and the fittings are kind of just gone. So anyway, got new tie rod and tie rods, and I kept the ends because apparently you can't get those easily. So kept the ends. I'm gonna screw those on here, but let me give you guys like a picture of what it looks like. So this is the Powertrix HICAS delete bar with the new tie rod ends, or sorry, tie rods, and then I have to put the old ends back on there. I took the boots off the HICAS unit with the old tie rods to reuse because I forgot to order boots, so I'm gonna slide these guys on there, zip tie them. Thinking about packing these full of grease just so I don't have to worry about that rusting out or anything. Also, I did forget. Also, I needed there's supposed to be like a bolt in between here to lock this to each other, so I'm just going to tighten these really tight. And I'm not driving the car how it is right now, but this will at least let me get it on the ground, and slide these over it and zip tie the boot to the delete bar. That way I don't have to worry about crap getting in the grease fittings right there. So yeah, it is a little dark out, and I am going to be working with like a low light situation, so I won't be able to record much of it, but basically it should just be click on, and I probably won't be able to do like a perfect alignment. I'm just going to try to get the wheels straight, and then I could probably put the wheels back on, lower the car. Big update since the last time. I did get the car all back together, and this is how it's looking right now. Engine is installed, all the suspension back on, bumper, headlights, fenders, hood closes, so that's pretty cool. And relocated the fuse box right behind the blinker right here. You can maybe see it's right there, so right in the blinker area. The factory blinkers do not fit with that there, but it's okay because the new bumper I'm going to be using shaves this right here, so that isn't the factory blinker spot anymore. Anyway, so that doesn't really matter. I'm going to put these on and get the rack installed. Alright, so I got the HICAS delete bar installed. Unfortunately, the bushing on the spindle, when I was taking off the end link, it messed up the threads or something just because of how rusty it is. It didn't want to come off nicely, so I guess pulling on the piece to separate it from the ball joint messed up the threads, and then the nut doesn't want to go back on. And when the nut does go on, the nut goes on the driver's side a little bit, not the passenger side at all. I have a cutting tool. I could actually cut the threads and potentially put a new nut on there, but it's spinning internally, so when you're trying to screw it on, it's actually spinning the whole thing, so you have to kind of hold it with like pliers to be able to put the nut on properly. And that's not a big deal, but it is kind of late already, and I'm just trying to get something done for the day, so I have a little bit of progress done on it. But main thing is that the bar is installed, and I can just go and order new spindle bushings and the tool to push them out and put them back in. The tool's kind of expensive, but it's one of those things. Might as well have if I have the car. But anyway, let me just show you guys what I've done. Okay, so as you can see, nice new shiny HICAS delete bar installed with new hardware. I'll zoom in a little bit on that. I do have quite a bit of few fingerprints on it, so you do get to see that. But as you can see, tie rods, I just use a zip tie to hold the boots on for now, because I don't have the wire to cut properly to secure that, so the zip tie works in the meantime. And I think I got the end links to the point where they were, because the knuckles haven't really moved at all since I took the end links off, so I kind of just put them back on where they were, and I'm going to call it good for now because it rolled straight enough with the alignment that it was on there currently. And yeah, so all I gotta do is secure that nut over there and secure the nut right there, and then put the wheels back on the car and I can lower it down. So that'll be pretty cool. Pretty stoked about that. And the bushings on the spindle, that one and the other one, are gonna be the ones I'm gonna replace because it has that bolt that goes through like a ball joint. But definitely getting closer to the car being back on the ground.